Disclaimer, we are not professionals and are just beginning our podcast journey. We apologize for the minor inconveniences when it comes to the quality. As we learn, we will continue to make improvements to our show. Thank you.
Guys, so apparently Lil Tay is not dead. Yesterday her brother posting, saying me and Tay are not dead. We don't have access to the account. Our parents want us gone off the internet. They are spreading misinformation. We are not dead. They are the only people that have access to our social medias. Do not believe it. Our parents took everything and they abused Tay hard. Now, this account is not confirmed to be anybody, but Cody, what do you think with all that's going on?
Well, when I originally saw that on TikTok, I thought, this could be definitely fake because I know the Lil Tay family group, whatever it is, used to just troll around and make money however they could. But,
So do you think that you think Tay's in on it? Because that would be like really fucked up if it was.
I think she definitely could have been on it because I know they, like I said before, they tried to do a lot of stunts for all that publicity. But I don't know. This could definitely be a real case of abuse or whatever it would be.
Yeah, and then there's also no confirmation, I guess. So this could all be somebody pretending to be them, trying to say that their death is fake. But it also was just weird how they just came out and said her and her brother are both dead.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
And I saw 3 different Instagram accounts with the same name, and it was the brother saying, "We didn't die. Parents were abusing." It was the same photo on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with that situation. We'll probably hear more, and we'll talk about it on next episode. But welcome back to the Campfire Sessions, everybody. If you listened last week, thank you. This week we have a guest. We have my father, James Diglio, here today. Now we do have some conversations we would like to have with Jimmy, but I want to bring you on for our first bit because this is something I need to bring to light, and this is something I feel that I need to talk about on the podcast because me and Cody were in the middle of a conversation yesterday, and I said,
well, hold on. I want to say something first, real quick. So you guys, this is your second podcast. I listened to the first one. Thought it was really good.
Thank you.
You guys have good chemistry together, and I want you to make me a promise right here.
Yeah.
If you guys keep going with this and you become famous and popular, you better have me on again then.
Oh,
Deal?
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Anyways, this is about to take a turn because what I would like to
I like turns.
What I would like to bring some light to is this. I don't know. Is it a fantasy you have? A dream?
Where's this going?
I think it's just a way I want to go out. You know what I'm saying?
So we were talking yesterday. The topic was old people. It doesn't we were talking about old people and
what's old?
70. We're talking about anybody over the age of 70.
All right, okay.
And Cody said, "I'm not making it till 70." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "My life." He goes,
"You don't know that."
He does because Cody told me that he's going to hire somebody to kill him between the age of 50 and 59. And
why such a 9-year gap, Cody?
Right. Well, let me before I ask you because I really want to hear your explanation. Cody said that he wants to put a tiny grenade up his ass.
All right, that's not what I said.
Well, you want to okay. Moral of the story is you want to put a grenade up your ass.
Tiny
hire somebody to have the remote, and from the age of 50 to 59, the person can detonate it whenever he wants.
Okay. All right, I'll start the story now. So I said, when I turn 50, I'm gonna hire someone to try to kill me, but it's gonna be
you're gonna pay them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I think it'd be kind of a hard job because as soon as I hit the age of 50 and until the day before I turn 60, they have the chance to kill me. At any time, it could be random. I will not know. But the detonation, it won't be inside my body already. The grenade will be shot up my asshole. And it's going to be like a tiny grenade, so it's going to only blow up my internal organs. It'll sound what did I say it'll sound like?
Like a opening like a Coke
can. Yeah,
can.
it'll sound like a quick but no one's gonna hear it
So-
if we're doing something.
How is this grenade gonna get up your ass?
They're gonna have some type of gun. I don't know.
So for
And it's
9
gonna hit
years,
perfectly.
for 9 years, they're gonna be chasing you around,
Well,
trying to get a gun up.
you
your
don't know
ass.
what we'll have 40 years from now.
Oh, okay, that's a good
Okay,
point.
but like, they would have to get your pants down, get
Well,
your cheeks spread
Hey,
open.
that's
he
what I'm
does.
saying,
He does
though.
have
It'll-
to sleep.
It-
Maybe when he goes for his
Yeah,
colonoscopy,
I
so
said
they can
that.
sneak in the room.
You know, like I said before, we don't know what we'll have in 40 years, so it could be just a direct guided grenade up into my ass.
And then once he puts it in, then at any time he can detonate it, or you want it detonated immediately.
I want it detonated the second it goes in.
Oh, okay, so you would know when it's happening. It's not
Cody-
just like you put it in at 50 and then
so
just like at any
the-
time it's just gonna.
The second I know it happens, I'm gonna die.
Maybe you hope so.
Well, yeah, I hope it wouldn't like.
Imagine if it's like a half a dud.
Yeah,
It just explodes enough so that you can't
drop a
shit
lung.
normal for the rest of your life. It
Yeah,
just
that
falls
would
out of
suck.
you.
I would then just slash my neck.
So Cody, why do you want to do this?
I think it'd be very interesting for my life ending.
But why at 50?
So why 50 to 59? Yeah.
I think that'll be the perfect age. I don't know. I think I'll be able to live my life by then.
And there's no other way you would want to go out. This is the only way.
I think that's the perfect way to go.
So you
out.
think 50 years is enough?
Well, it could be 59.
But you think at 50, that's the starting point? Like,
Yeah.
that's-
Aren't you just going to be like constantly worried?
No,
Are you going to be trying to avoid this person,
No,
or like if it
'cause I
happens, it happens?
I hired them. So I kind of want it to happen.
So are you going to let it happen if you see them? Or are you going to just
Yeah.
go about your day, and if they get to you,
If
they
I
get to
see
you?
them, there's a chance that they might not do
So-
it. But if I see them and they do it, like, you know,
So if you make it to 59, when's your birthday?
September 15th.
So if you make it to September 14th and you're 59, how's that day gonna go?
It depends. I might be celebrating. I might be sad. It depends on my
celebrate, yeah.
life then.
Celebrating what?
Because that person might
My
be
death.
waiting for that day.
But what if he doesn't get you?
Yeah, he
then,
doesn't get you.
then how do you want to die? Just old age?
Yeah, at that point, then
Then
yeah.
he's gonna
So
write it
he's
out.
got one 10-year chance.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't get it, you wanna just see what happens.
Well, then I might try to hunt him down.
And then you also told me that the way you're gonna pay him is by putting him in your will.
Yes, I'll put a few thousand in his will, or in my will. I mean,
So how much time of his life does he have to devote to chasing you down?
however
Well-
much he wants. It depends when he wants to do it, where he wants to do it.
So what if he doesn't do it at all and just gets the money?
I won't be dead.
Maybe
then I
maybe
can-
the
I can
stipulation is he only gets paid.
Oh.
When I
Like-
hit 60, I can remove him from the will.
Yeah, and if he dies, he's in the will. He gets his money.
Yeah.
And
So-
if it were me and I was getting paid, as soon as you turn 50, the next day,
Well, yeah.
gone.
It depends whatever he wants to do.
Yeah,
If he wants the money,
because he wants to torment you for a few years.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you said you want to go like this, so is it even torment or is it
I mean, it's in
I think
reality,
that's part of
it's-
the excitement for him.
Yeah,
I think he
it's-
wants to get tormented.
It's whatever he wants. I think it'll be an exciting death,
this
and for people to figure it out, I think that'd be also exciting. They'd have to listen to this.
This is the kind of shit you guys talk about, huh?
we're
Yeah.
gonna come back in 40 years. The podcast is gonna be I'm gonna have to do it by myself, and I'm gonna say, guys, remember episode 2? Yeah, well, here we
It
have
happened.
Cody's corpse on as our guest. He doesn't have a heart. He doesn't have his lungs anymore. Pretty much just yeah.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
So you want your insides totally scrambled by a grenade shot up your ass when you turn 50? That's
Yeah.
what you want.
Between those 9 years, whatever. Before we get into the main part of the podcast, we want to plug our socials. Twitter is campsesh1520.
If you want to follow us on Instagram or TikTok, they're both campfire sessions with a 0 at the end.
And if you're already listening on YouTube or Spotify, you will know that it's Campfire Sessions.
Everything is in all of our bios on our link tree if you guys want to find out. Make sure you guys like our videos on every platform. Follow us on every platform. If you guys don't want to commit yourself to the podcast yet, I understand. Go on our TikTok. We have clips, and we're going to be posting clips from every podcast if you guys want to know what we're about. Yeah, pretty much. That's it. Let's get into the topic. So we're here with Jimmy. And we want to ask you about some controversial topics, and a lot of this at this point is opinion based. A lot of it can be inferred about what we know so far. We want to talk about this topic in the most, or I should say, in the least political way possible. So,
And we believe you know the most about it.
yeah,
Okay.
we believe that out of everybody we know in person, you're the best person to bring
Okay.
on about this.
I'll do my best.
So we want to talk to you about aliens. It's been a hot topic recently. So we have a couple of questions, but we're not going to get through to the questions immediately. I just want
Aliens or UFOs or both?
everything,
or...
all of it,
Anything you know about it, we wanna
anything that's
hear.
not from this earth.
Okay.
So I mean, I want to start simple. Why do you believe in aliens and UFOs and something else?
So why do I believe that beings or other people exist from other planets?
Yeah.
Right? Maybe.
Yeah.
So I always look at it this way: we're one planet, right? And there's billions of planets out. You can't really conceive what a billion is. If you had to count a billion dots, imagine that. So there's billions of galaxies, right? Each with billions of planets in each galaxy.
Yeah.
And my opinion is, for us to think that we're the only intelligent life in the universe and billions of planets. I don't know. To me, it's kind of foolish to think that we're the only ones. So I think not only are there one group of aliens, there's probably a lot, and maybe some are more advanced than us, and there may be some that are probably less advanced than us that we'll never know about.
I think I agree with you. I think there's most definitely probably at least 500 different types of species from different planets.
Maybe.
I mean, you're throwing out a random number. We
Maybe.
don't have any.
I'm just saying, like,
definitely.
It's his opinion.
I mean, at this point, if you're gonna believe, there's no reason to believe in just one other planet. You're definitely right, but if there's billions of planets, there's probably billions of species.
And think about how many species of different animals just live on Earth.
Right.
And there's insects, there's microorganisms, there's so many things that you can take into account.
So there's probably millions of species just on our planet. So just take all those numbers and think about it.
That's why I think 500 is a low number to speculate.
If we ever found out like what reality was, we may not be able to handle that information.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there definitely could be maybe even a war about, like, even if it's like an online war or like a social war about what everyone else thinks compared to the
Sure.
others. I think it's just too much to handle.
So this is a little off topic, but it's in the realm. I want to talk to you about the moon landing as well, because this is another very hot topic for theorists, and I just want to know: is the moon landing? Did it happen?
So this can go for a little bit here. So let me ask this way, right? So I think the last time we went to the moon in like 1969, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we flew 11 missions to the moon, I believe. I might be wrong, but I think it was 11 or 12.
Yeah, something around there.
And then we stopped, and then we never went back. So why didn't we go back? Number one. No, I think there was 17 actually, and 13 didn't make it to the moon. They had to come back. So back in the 60s, the Soviet Union at the time, they were going to go to the moon, and we were like, "Oh no, you're not going first. We're going to go first." So somehow we got to the moon within 10 years of saying we were going to go to the moon. With, the technology in the 60s was nothing. There was there was barely TV back then, right? There was no cell phones, so the technology was way different. But we were able to go to the moon and land on the moon. Do I think we went to the moon? I don't know. I'm not definitive on my opinion on it, but I will say that if you look at some of the footage of the moon landing, some of it's pretty sketchy. Um, like, when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon for the first time, and he took those first steps and said what he said, right? Do you know what he said?
Yeah.
You're right. One
Yeah.
one false small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Someone was filming him stepping on the moon.
Well, yeah, I heard about that. There could have been like a rover or something that went out before him.
Maybe, but it filmed him coming down the stairs and it moved with him and everything. So it was very. So again, think the technology now and then. Now you think, oh yeah, maybe we can definitely put something out there, but back then, I don't know. Um, a lot of the a lot of the footage was questionable. Um, Also, there is pictures of the footprint on the moon, the first footprint, and then his space costume is in the in NASA, and for some reason the suit that is there, the footprint on the bottom is not the same as the one that was on the moon. So there's a lot there's a lot there. There's a lot of reason to think that we may not have gone to the moon, but we very well could have. I don't know definitively myself, but I always question why have we not gone back? We're going to go back. They just talked about. I just saw a report on this yesterday that in 2 years, I think they want to land people on the moon again. But again, why don't we have the technology to just go there anytime we want? And one other thing, if you watch the launch off the moon to come back to Earth, the shuttle that they launched from the moon, if you look at that thing, my question is that really does that really look like something that could be launched and fly? When you get a chance, take a look at it. It's really cheap and flimsy looking, and it's hard to believe that that thing launched and made it back into space.
Well,
But it might have.
to add on to like the flimsy part, there's also a bunch of rocket ships that blew up on the way, like literally
On the launch
seconds on
pad.
the way up.
Yep.
And then, like you said, Apollo 13 that blew up in space. They had no oxygen, and they
Well,
barely
no,
made it back.
well, no, they made it back. I don't know if you ever watched the movie.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good movie. Can I add a little? Can I add some like weird stuff to this?
Yeah.
Controversial
Well,
stuff
I
to
was
this?
I was gonna follow up with a question. So
Is it related to this?
we might be going on the same path.
Okay,
Let me pose my question. You let me know if it's
it's okay. I'll
similar.
answer. We
If
can
not,
still
if
talk
not,
about
we
it.
can come back to it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned not going back. Do you think there's a reason we didn't go back? Do you think they saw something there?
So you're going down my path. Um, there's all these conspiracy things out there that the moon is an alien base and it's hollow, and when they landed on the moon, it rang like a bell, like that. And so there's a lot of weird stuff out there. Um, is there aliens living on the moon? Who knows? Maybe. The moon doesn't spin; it faces us the same way all the time. We really never get to see the backside of the moon, so we don't really know what's going on. They may show us pictures of what that looks like, but we never see it. We only see what's facing us. It never turns, right? Um, did something happen, and maybe somebody else was there and they said, "Don't come back"? It's possible, very possible. This is ours. We own it.
I mean, yeah,
Maybe.
I can definitely see that idea. Just wanting us off.
Sure.
Maybe.
So yeah, you went right down the road I was going down.
Yeah. So it says in all of human history, only 24 people have ever flown to the vicinity of the moon. It says 12 of those people set foot on the moon. I don't know. So more people touched down on the moon.
Well, there were several missions after the first Apollo mission made it to the moon. There were several missions after that to the moon, supposedly.
Is there evidence of these, or is there
There's
only
launches and film, just like the first
film of them
landing.
touching down on the moon?
Film of them coming out of their lander. So if you listen to some of the interviews with some of the astronauts, I think like Buzz Aldrin, he even made reference to the fact that some of the footage was not filmed on the moon. right? Which is kind of weird for him to
Yeah.
say that. You're almost admitting that, well, we didn't really go there. He actually slipped and said that in a few interviews. So, um, and then he got very defensive in one interview and punched the guy in the face. That said, you know, we didn't go to the moon or something like that. And he actually punched the guy in the face, the reporter. So, you know, there's a lot of controversy and animosity with some of these people, but listen, you know, don't put our government past the point of lying to us, because they do every day. And they may have back then, they didn't want the Soviets to go to the moon before us. It would have been a real like slap in the face to America if the Soviets made it to the moon before us. So could they have fabricated it? Absolutely.
Yeah, and also like it's just like I'm still confused as to why we wouldn't have went back. Like
Here, we stopped going.
maybe we couldn't. Maybe we couldn't go back because we've actually never been there, and at this point with technology and stuff, it might make it even easier for us to detect a lie and a fake. Maybe we
Okay.
just can't go back now because at this point us going back would be them trying to fake it again, and people would catch on by now. So they only did it one time. So like, there's only evidence of a fake one time or a couple of times.
So supposedly we're supposed to be going back in a couple of years. So let's see how that goes and what's different when they go back. Like, does it look the same when they go back?
Whether this going back is our first time or we're actually going back, like, do you think that like this is an interesting question, and I'm not really familiar with all this kind of stuff, so this could be a really simple answer. Are they gonna go back and find the flag? Is it there still?
Should
Like,
be. There's no wind or anything on the moon. The moon is there's no gravity on the moon.
Well, people were saying that they saw the flag like there was wind there and it was all moving around.
Right, right, and there's no wind there.
Yeah.
Right. So why was the flag moving around? That's another question too.
Yeah.
Like, why was the flag moving around? There should be, the actual footprints should still be there. Supposedly they left rovers on them, like the buggies on the moon that they drove around. You ever see the footage of them driving around in the buggies? They were either in the desert or they were on the moon, one or the other.
I mean, I
But
guess
that
we'll find out.
all that stuff supposedly is still there. Maybe they won't land in the same spot. Who knows?
so if we all knew for sure, 100%, well, there's no way to know for sure unless you go to the moon. But if we knew for sure that the first one was real and the flag was planted, and we went back to the same spot in 2 years and the flag was gone, how would you react to that?
Well, it's either we never went or somebody took our flag.
No, I'm saying if we knew for sure, concrete evidence that we did go. And
I'd
we
call
went for
bullshit
real.
on the whole thing.
I'm saying my point is though, like, you were the one to put the flag there, and then you go back and it's gone. I want to know, like, what is your first reaction?
Oh, if I put the
Just
flag
say
there,
just
I really went there and put the
like
flag
it's
there.
a known fact that somebody touched the moon. Let's just, for this example, let's just say it was you.
And then I go back again.
You go back to the same spot and it's gone.
What happened to my flag? Somebody took my flag.
Now,
Right?
would you assume somebody else from Earth took it, or
I don't know. Why would somebody take my flag? Did the Russians go there and take my flag, or did the people that live there supposedly take my flag?
This is
Maybe they took my flag out and put their own flag there.
I mean, they could have.
Sure.
They definitely could have.
this is a tough topic because there's just so much like unknown.
Yeah.
Where to make any assumption, you have to assume so much
So
other
it's
things.
it's
in order
2023. So why haven't we been to the moon in like 50 something years? Right?
Yeah, that's the part that's baffling me the most, which makes me assume one of two things: that we didn't go at all, and for some reason we're not capable of it, or we went and somebody told us not to come back.
Either one is possible. I would rather, I'd actually rather it be the second one, like somebody else was there, because that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty scary, but that would be cooler. Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd be able to find out who it is with like DNA, or like
Like,
Like, if it was an alien thing, do you think we'd be able to figure that out quickly, or like?
we'd have to we'd have to find who it is, or we'd have to make contact with them if we haven't already, right? I
Mhm.
mean, if our government made contact with them, do you think they're going to tell us? Do you think they're going to tell us that there's somebody out there that's got way more advanced shit than we have?
I mean, I guess that's why they announced aliens were on the Earth in the 30s.
Yeah, but they retracted everything that they said, right? And said it wasn't true. There was no crashes. There was no nothing. It was weather balloons, and you know, because I didn't think that they wanted us to know.
Yeah, I don't. It's such a tough subject because we haven't seen anything. The only like evidence you can see and know that it's real for sure is if you see it yourself.
Right.
Which I know you do have a story about that. I've seen videos that you've captured yourself. I really want to talk about that, and
Okay.
I want you to break it down from the beginning. I want
So
everything.
are you talking about what happened last year?
I mean, is there
So
multiple?
there was another time where I think uh yeah, it was nighttime, and I was in Rhode Island. I think I was walking near the beach or on the beach, and I just happened to be looking up. I saw something in the sky. It could have been like it looked like a big star, right? It was
Mhm.
just going across the sky like normal, but it looked to me like it was really high. And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's like a satellite or whatever. Then all of a sudden, it took like a sharp turn, like a zigzag turn, like as fast as my eye could follow it, and then it was gone. And I was like, holy shit, that wasn't something that we could have done. That wasn't something that we would be flying around that would move at that speed that quick, right? So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. That was one. And then this one is weird, right? So last year, this was during the middle of the day. Well, there's another one too, right? There's actually a photograph that I have, and this one might be um, explainable because it could have been a camera. I don't know, but we were at an event, and I took a picture over. We were near the water, and I took a picture of just the water. Um, and later, when I looked at the picture, I saw two white, what looked like discs in the picture. There was no clouds, and they were like the same, and there were a couple of pictures. And I took the pictures really quick, like one picture, two picture. And in those two pictures, those two white things had moved several feet from where they were in the first picture, and the pictures were very quickly taken. Clouds don't move that fast, and these things were exactly the same, right? That was another one. And then last year, this is a weird one. I don't know. This one could be, when we had when I saw that Chinese weather balloon that happened in February, I started thinking like maybe it was something like that. I don't know. But I was cutting the grass. It was August last year. It was a bright sunny day, and I remember I was walking across the grass, and I got stung by a bee, and I was like, ah, shit, that hurt. And when I swung around, I looked up and I saw this white, and you saw the video, right?
Yeah.
This white circle, right? Bright though. Remember, it was middle of the day, but this thing was bright in the sky. And I took some video of it. And as I was taking a video, a plane went by, and this thing was like, above the plane and going a different way than the plane. So it was kind of cool to see it with the plane. It looked like it was higher. And I followed this thing for like 15 minutes as it just kind of like went across the sky, and it actually made it move in a turn, but it moved very slowly. And it went from like, it was going like probably west to east, and then it made a turn to like the south. And then after a while, I lost it, but it was moving really slow. So I thought that was a really weird one, and I actually sent it in. I sent that one in to like the UFO investigators, and they got back to me and they wanted to call me and talk to me about it and stuff, and they just ask us some questions about it, and then you never hear anything after that, which is weird. But the funny thing was when I heard about the Chinese weather balloon, I'm like, wow, it kind of looks like that a little bit. So could it have been that? I don't, another one maybe, but it was definitely something weird. It wasn't like a wasn't like something floating in the sky. It was something that was moving, but it was moving really slow. It never moved fast. It just changed directions at least once. So I've seen some weird stuff. I mean, how often do you look up at the sky and just stare up at the sky? Not really. You're just doing your stuff every day. If you just probably like took time every day and looked up at the sky for a little while, you might see something weird. Who knows? Or I just happened to get stung by a bee and swung around and looked up, right? And there it was. I would have never saw it if that didn't happen.
Well, now that we have all those stories done, and you kind of know what the UFOs decently look like, I wanted to ask, do you believe they are from another planet, or do you think we originated from them at all?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because there's some stuff. Well, they could be from different planets, right? I do think that there are some from there. I think there are more than one, like we talked about earlier. I think, and I do think there are some from different planets. But then you get into the whole like interdimensional stuff, right? Like, I was watching a show, right? This show was called Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but there's this place out in Utah. I think it's in Utah. It's Skinwalker Ranch is the actual name of the place, and they've had so many. They've done a lot of investigations there. People have owned it and they've sold it. Um, they've had so many weird experiences there, and it's kind of like out in a desert area. And there's this hill, this mesa out there, um, and they often talk about they think there might be a portal there, and that there's things coming through the portal. And they've got a lot of video of things in the sky, orbs in the sky, and they're suggesting that there's a possibility that they're coming through some portal interdimensionally, things we don't understand, things we're not probably capable of understanding yet. And then there's some things I've seen that people have had encounters and talked with aliens. Now, again, I don't know if this stuff is true, but the aliens have told them that they are us from the future, right? We've evolved to what they are now, and they're here to try to warn us about things that we're doing here that are going to destroy the planet if we don't take action. That's kind of weird. It's really hard to believe and like comprehend. Like, is there people coming from the future, right, and through interdimensional portals to tell us that we're fucking up the world? Possible. So my thing is, a lot of people just draw a line and say, "Oh my God, there's no way that could happen. That's unbelievable," right? To me, that's kind of ignorance to think that we know everything about everything. We don't. So anything of what I just said is possible, but I do believe that there are definitely beings coming from other places.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you right before you got to the whole future stuff about time travel. I think, I'm trying my hardest here not to be ignorant, and I'm trying, and I've tried to explain it or say that it could be possible, but I think time travel, no matter what, is a pile of bullshit. I
Why?
just don't think, knowing everything I know about everything, which I know it's not a lot because none of us here on this planet know a lot in the grand scheme of things. We're on the littlest rock in the middle of an ever expanding universe. But knowing everything about consciousness and free will and everything like that, it's just not something that's fathomable to me. Like, you look at Star Wars, the Force, that's just not something that it's not like, I just don't see any way it could be possible at all, no matter what. And I guess that is me being ignorant, but being a conscious being, a very aware person, it's not. It just doesn't seem like in any way that any species or being, no matter how intelligent they are, could make it happen. Well, I want to know what you think about that, Cody, because when I try to think about that, or somebody making something like appear out of thin air, or somebody teleporting, it's just not like it's not fathomable to my brain, which I guess being a human being, if we don't use all of our brains, I guess that might be me being ignorant, but it just doesn't. Anytime I try to think about it, or somebody tries to give a scientific explanation with like particles or particle accelerators or whatever the hell you want to say about time travel or any teleportation, it just doesn't seem like it doesn't seem possible.
Well, I know I don't know where I've seen this, but I think for teleportation to happen, they need to have the exact time that they want to go to, the exact spot in the universe that the Earth will be in, uh, which I don't know how they would get because the universe isn't like legitimately based off numbers. It's like if we're gonna be honest, it's not, or it's not uh based off scale and size, like meters or feet. It's not based off of that. It's just technically just something that happened.
What are you trying to say here? Like, there's no explanation for the universe. There's no
Well,
like nobody can really explain why it happened, and that's getting into a whole other like thing with religion or whatever.
yeah, kinda, because you could go to the scientist route. You could go into the
Any like the
like
Big Bang.
Buddhism route.
There's just
Uh,
that's a topic that I don't think as long as we're living on this planet or in any planet, we're not going to get answered. I think the origins of us and the origins of the universe, I don't nobody can answer. If an alien came down and told me, I don't even know if I believe it, because I think that the only way you're going to find out is once I leave this planet, everything, what the higher being is. But yeah, you're right about like the in order to time travel, you need like exact moment. But I just am a firm believer of the thing. When I was at the beginning of the podcast, we were talking about the grenade up your ass. We cannot go back and talk about it
Where do
again
we come full circle?
at 9 o'clock at night because it happened already. And like, I feel that if time travel were to be a thing, that would get rid of all of our free will.
Okay.
I think that is it's just something that is unimaginable to me, and I want to know what you have to say about
Okay.
it.
Um, it is very hard to imagine that because
It's I mean, in my head, it's impossible.
because right, because we don't, it's not something we could see or touch, and that makes it real hard to believe. Um, one of the things that I could point to is for like and it's not saying time travel, but in a way it's a little bit of that, right? So when they send these big telescopes up, like the Hubble telescope and those telescopes that are taking pictures of the universe, that you've seen those, right? Where you're looking at galaxies and nebulas.
Yeah, yeah,
Those pictures, those images are are from the past. So they're taking pictures, but they're seeing the past, right? Because the space time is always catching up to itself. So we're taking pictures of something now, but we're seeing something that is happened in the. It's very hard to conceive this, but it's true, right? They're taking pictures of what happened millions of years ago. We're seeing it now with a telescope picture because of the space and time that those pictures are having to travel, right? So if you think about it that way, right, we're basically showing ourselves the past. Okay. Another, and I don't, and then it doesn't probably doesn't make sense. It's hard to compute, right? Um, and then the other thing is, if we haven't been able to do this, right? Travel at the speed of light, right? And you were to launch today, right? And say, I'm going to Mars or I'm going wherever, and I'm going to travel at the speed of light, right? And I'm going to be gone for 6 months, but I'm going to travel at the speed of light there and back. And this is not the exact number, but I'm going to just give you an example. So you'd come back in a year, say, right? Because you travel at the speed of light, and everyone here would be 50 years older than you.
See, but we can't travel at the speed of light. It's another thing that is not possible, and I
Not yet.
don't think it will be though. And I do think that if it was, that would be proven wrong.
Well, I
Okay.
just thought of a question because, like, hypothetically, if we are able to go the speed of light, would we be able to go faster than it? And if we are able to, would we be going into the past?
I don't know. That's a good question,
Would we
right?
be able to live longer?
You wouldn't. You would be able to, you probably wouldn't live, your years would still be the same, but you would be younger than everyone else here.
So is it if I were to travel at the speed of light and say you said what, a year for me, 50 years for people on Earth, or
That's an,
whatever?
I don't know what the
No,
exact
yeah,
number is,
not
but
exact number,
yeah.
but not the point. Like, so is it just that I'm seeing things happen in a span of a year, or for me it's actually happening in a year? Like, I don't think that billions and trillions of miles out into the universe things are happening at, like, things are it's see, that's when you get to a perception thing, a time perception thing, and how you perceive time. Because there's also a study that the reason it feels like time gets faster the older you get is because
Oh, it does.
it's scientifically proven though that the way or how long it takes your brain to process things is, it's a nanosecond difference, but it makes you perceive things, it makes you receive things slower, which makes you perceive things going faster, I guess. I don't really
Yep.
know exactly about it, but I read about it, and
Yeah.
it's like scientifically proven that it's not just like a, oh, I'm older now, like things feel faster. Like it's a real thing that has been proven that just the way your brain takes things in as you get older changes. But that doesn't mean that you're aging any slower or anything, or time is even moving slower. It's just the way you're perceiving things. So I'm just curious as to, like, if I travel the speed of light, just because I'm traveling a speed doesn't make the actual time that passed slower. It might make it seem to me that it passed slower or faster. But in if you if there was one universal clock, it was up in every sky in every planet. It was just a clock with a day, time, or whatever. I think that no matter how fast you're traveling or where you are, that clock will be the same everywhere you are. I just don't think it's possible that it's different somewhere else.
Well, I'm no scientist, far from it, but the scientists say, and the science says, that if you travel at the speed of light, you're moving through time faster than anybody else, right? So you're not aging because you're moving with that time, and everyone else is here and they're aging, right? So theoretically, you're going to come back and everyone's going to be older or dead that you know or knew, and that's
But
just that's it's not something I could prove to you. That's something that science says.
so if I leave this earth at 17 years old and I travel at the speed of light and I come back, just we don't have exact numbers. I come back, I leave for a year. I'm traveling at the speed of light for a year or whatever it is. Not, again, not the point. Just hypothetically. I come back and I'm 18. I leave on my birthday, I come back on my birthday.
Yeah.
When I come back, it's the year is going to be 20 20 whatever, 2050.
So you may come back, right? 18 years old, and there may be some dude chasing Cody around with a grenade, trying to get it up his ass because he's in his 50s.
No, I just don't think it's possible, because then you get down to time as a man-made construct.
Well, it is
Meaning
the
that
time that we clock. It is.
it's not. I just don't think it's possible.
We base time on the rotation of the Earth, the 24-hour day.
Right.
That's
So
how we base
I
time.
just don't think that, like, if I'm traveling at the speed of light and I have a timer on my phone, isn't it just gonna? It's not gonna move faster. Like, it
Not,
just there's
not for you, not in your reality, but when you come back, you're going to see the difference.
I don't believe that. I mean, again, that's
Yeah,
me
it's
not knowing anything, going against scientists, but that's just another thing that does not
we.
seem fathomable to me.
Yep, because and even for me, it's hard to believe. But as humans, we tend to only believe what's put in front of us, right? What we can see, what we could touch, right? A lot of times you have to see to believe or experience it to believe. And it's hard to believe something that you haven't seen happen yet.
Yeah, that's just like a what do you think about this?
What are we talking about?
Like what do you it just like
Cody started thinking about grenades again, I think.
like the whole like if I were to leave for a year, I come back a year
I
in my
can't
time
like
is
perceive that in my head though, like
right.
because a light year is a length in
It's a measurement of length, not time.
yeah. So I feel like you'd come back the same age,
You would.
but everyone else would still be the same age too.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Again, I'm not really familiar with the topic, but knowing everything I know, being an aware, conscious being with free will, it doesn't seem like that could be made. That could. It just doesn't seem like that could happen.
If you're going as fast as the speed of light, you're going as fast as everyone else technically would be seeing everything else. But if you go faster than the speed of light, then you could hypothetically change age faster than or slower than everyone else that would be going or staying on Earth.
Uh, yeah. Think about it. Give you a simple comparison to think about, right? A thunderstorm, lightning, and then 10 seconds later it thunders. That thunder is the sound of the lightning. It's way ahead of the thunder because it's traveling at the speed of light.
So the lightning, where it is 0 seconds old, but when it hits us, it's 10 seconds old.
Unless it's right over here. Unless it's right over
But
you.
then you're getting to when it hits us, it's 10 seconds old, so it's 10 seconds old.
Not the lightning. The sound of the thunder.
Whatever it is, the sound. But even the lightning, where it struck, it still happened 10 seconds ago when we hear the noise. It's not.
I'm saying when you see a lightning flash, and then 10 seconds later you hear the thunder. The thunder is the sound of the lightning. That's the sound of the lightning. You're hearing it 10 seconds later because it's not traveling at the same speed. Speed of sound is way slower than the speed of light. So the light is already over here and the sound is way back here. So there's a time distance travel right there.
I was just gonna get into that because you're comparing the speed of sound to the speed of light, but they're definitely like two majorly different things. Like they correlate, but it's different than because like the speed of light is what 300 something million or thousand whatever.
Yep.
And the speed of sound is like 120 something, I think.
Right, but so what I'm trying to do in this case is cause and effect, right? Lightning is the cause, the effect is the thunder. It's the same thing causing both. So the light is causing the sound. You're traveling at the speed of light and everyone else is lagging behind because you're going so fast. That's what I'm trying to compare. It's still real tough, even for me. Like I believe it's true, but it's tough for me to comprehend it as well.
I just don't believe it's true because I don't understand. Like, I just don't get like. I don't know. I don't know how to get these words out. I'm probably gonna make myself sound like an idiot, but time is man-made. Everybody ages the same because in a year, everybody is a year older. It doesn't make sense to me how if I'm 14 quadrillion miles away, but a year passes, how it would just be different. It doesn't like I don't understand.
It doesn't make sense to me either, but I believe it's possible. I believe that could be true. Again, we only know what's in front of us and what we see, what we hear, what we can touch. There's so much that we don't have no idea about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I agree. It's definitely hard to perceive things that you can't know about until you experience it yourself.
I just have a very open mind to all this stuff, because if you just look at everything around us, all of it's a miracle that we're even here, right? So to me, when I see that, it makes me think that anything is possible. What's true and what's not true, I don't know, but I don't nothing anything that's not already proven, I don't shut the door on it.
Yeah.
I wanna ask you right now about story you were telling me about it like probably a month and a half ago about I think it was Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want you to just tell us about it so we're familiar with it because you know the most about it, and then I want you to tell me if you think it's bullshit.
It's a weird story, right? So first there was some thing that went across the sky. They got it on video. It looked like I don't know, like a flaming, could have been an asteroid, but the way it went across the sky was kind of weird. And the cops got it on their body cams and stuff. And then they got this weird call, like shortly after this thing went across the sky, they got this 911 call that with this family saying like there were these 10-foot things in their yard, and they sounded real convincing, like they were in their yard in the middle of Las Vegas. And the cops went out there, and the cops were like, normally we would think this was weird and stupid, but we saw something go across the sky, so we're gonna check it out.
That was just Cody on his nightly walk.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't.
Me in the future
they
watching
didn't-
out for the grenade.
They didn't. Oh God, they didn't
You're 10
find.
feet tall.
Yeah.
Well, he is if he's like
When I turn 50.
if he's like if things blowing up his ass. They didn't find anything like, but there were some weird pictures online of like supposedly something in the backyard, and I guess the next day when the sun came out, there was like a round impression in the backyard. But they were really convincing, and one of the younger guys or kids did a couple of interviews and talked about it, and then all of a sudden the family, they just stopped talking. They won't talk about it anymore. Like out of nowhere, they just stopped talking about it. Um, do I think it's real? I don't know. I have a hard time with that one. Like in the middle of Las Vegas, there's aliens in someone's backyard. Maybe they saw the thing go across the sky and they're like, "Oh, let's do this prank, right? And we'll get famous for it." That's kind of where I'm thinking.
Yeah. It does definitely
Yeah,
sound
so I'm
fake.
leaning towards like I guess a prank. You never know.
That kind of reminds me of the Lil Tay thing,
Yeah.
just for attention.
There's,
And then
there's
So I call kind of bullshit on that one.
there's so much lies. There's no way to know what's real at this point unless we see them.
That's the problem. Is there's so many idiots out there that make up stories and make up lies that when somebody does tell the truth, you're like, yeah, that's bullshit. It's dumb, right? So that makes it really hard for you to believe things until you really really see something yourself.
Yeah, people are calling it out to be a fake story. I'm just like the timing of it. If the cops saw something, it's just really good timing
Right.
or bad timing, I guess.
And,
however you
and
wanna
my
look
guess
at it.
is those people saw the same thing shoot across the sky and they took advantage of it. That's just my guess.
Do you like? What do you think is the most interesting alien story you've heard?
Uh,
And do you think that the story you heard? Do you think it's real?
I always find it interesting when uh, there's like military involvement in the stories. You always, I mean, the whole Roswell one is real interesting in itself, but that was in the 1940s. Um, the way they really covered that up really fast. But there was one in England, and it was at an Air Force base that an American Air Force base in England, and they saw something in the sky, and it actually landed in the forest, and these military guys walked out to it, had an experience with it, um, saw some weird writing on the side of a craft, um, and then it took off, and it came back like several times. They didn't have any video of it, but there were some audio recordings of the people out seeing this, and they sound like they were freaked out. Multiple people corroborated the story. and these are all military guys, right? So for me, when that happens, it's like, wow, that's hard. Are there all these guys going to sit around and make up a story like this? I don't know. So those are believable ones. Um, then there's another one where something was flying over a nuclear missile silo in the United States and basically got into the computers and shut down all of our nuclear silos in that at that base. This really happened, um, and those are the most secure things in the world, right? Nuclear missiles bases, and they actually shut them down. And then when they left, when this thing left, they turned back on again. And then a similar thing happened in Russia, where, and this is a story out of Russia, that they actually went into launch sequence on their own after they saw something, right? There was a UFO sighting. The nuclear missiles went into a launch sequence, and I think there was something like 15 seconds away from launching, and then they stopped. So, and the theory is that that's them messing with us, saying, we can control everything that you have, and there's a lot of things around nuclear bases where they they really seem to be honed in on our nuclear power.
Yeah. Do you think with all this, then them messing with us or whatever you want to call it, do you think that means that they're trying to help us, not to absolutely destroy each other? Because at this point, we're very close to it. But do you think they want? Because at this point, if they're this intelligent superior, why are they so interested with us? Do you think they are good and they want to help us, but they just can't make themselves known because they know that people will just freak out and hate them? Or like,
I I don't know. Uh, I do, okay. I do not think they want us to destroy ourselves. I think if they wanted to destroy us, they could probably do it pretty easily if they have the capability to do the things that they do. Um, they have an interest in us for some reason. What that reason is, I, I'd love to know. I would love to know. I think somebody knows. But are they protecting our planet for a specific reason? I think so. I don't know what that is. Are they waiting for something to happen? Are they waiting for to make themselves known to us for some reason? Maybe. There's a lot of stuff out there that says that the governments or the major governments in the world are actually in contact with them and have some kind of agreement with them that they won't do anything to us or with us, and as long as we don't tell our citizens all about them being here and why they're here. So I don't know why they're here. I wish I did know, but for some reason I feel like they do want to protect this planet. Maybe not us so much. I don't know. Maybe us. If we're a version of them in the past, maybe they do want to protect us.
Well, now you said that they might have like a peace treaty kind of thing with us. Do you think they can decipher what we're saying, or more what we can decipher what they're saying, or do you think there's like a thing where we can clash in the middle and like somehow speak about things? Do you think like aliens might have like the knowledge to like say I touch Kyle, and do you think
He might like it.
are you are you asking me if they speak English or?
well, I'm asking, do you
He's
think they have the ability to absorb knowledge like through some different kind of
so
Like mind reading?
yeah.
so there's a lot of stuff you see and read about them telepathically communicating with each other and with people they encounter. So if one popped up behind you right now, and you turn around and he was standing there, he might not say a word to you, but you may hear him in your mind talk to you, and you may, in your mind with your thoughts, talk back to him without even realizing it. That's a theory that's out there. I don't know if they verbally communicate. Maybe they do if they have the technology and the knowledge to travel through the universe and do things that we can't even imagine doing, then I would imagine they'd be able to have some kind of ability to translate pretty easily. What do you think?
I mean, that is definitely something I can get behind more than time travel because
You think mind reading is
mind
more
mind
possible
reading
than
or telepathic communication, I could see that happening. We have Bluetooth.
Right.
There's there's I mean at this point I'm a strong believer in like telepathy. That's something where I think we're more powerful. Our minds are more powerful than we think.
Yep.
but not powerful enough for like to do to like get into time travel and
Well,
stuff.
that's different because time travel is defying the laws of everything we've ever known. But mind reading, it could. We're all humans. We're all connected in a. This is going down like a spiritual path, but I believe that spirits are connected and they can read each other. There's people that can read energies and stuff, and I believe that if we were able to tap into a little bit more of our brain, that we would be able to at least get a sense of somebody's at least just general mood or emotion just from feeling it. Like it's again it's another hard thing to explain because it's very. I'm not saying I believe it way more than time travel, but it's definitely something more fathomable than time travel or anything like that because I just believe on a spiritual level, humans are very connected in those ways.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely weird because people will be able to say we've had moments like this too, where we think the same thing, say it at the same exact time. Like I think that's definitely possible.
Think about twins. How often do you hear about twins finishing each other's sentences and almost thinking the same thing at the same time, right? Because I think that because they're connected when they're before they're born and they split, they're sharing something special that we probably don't get because we're not twins. But you often hear of like twins being able to communicate weirdly and even having some even weird things between each other that people don't understand. So to me, I think that's you tapped into that, babe. Like that's like totally something that our minds are capable of that we haven't tapped into.
Yeah, guys. Also, just quick. He's gonna anytime he's on the podcast, he's gonna call me B. Just when he says B, that's me.
That's a nickname for him.
Just a nickname.
That's a whole nother
We'll get
conversation.
into that story in another episode because that's a long conversation.
Yeah.
But just in case anybody's wondering, that's me. But yeah, I just again this is another thing where you can get into religion. Maybe you can get into it. I like it's a very spiritual thing, and you have to be a believer. Like if you look at like crystals, if you believe in crystals, if they actually can heal, or if those actually help your mind, that's a whole other thing that you really have to buy into, and it could all be placebo, Mandela effect, whatever you want to call it. That it's not real, but sometimes the coincidence is just so strong that it is real, or you feel that it is real, and you can make yourself believe that. But again, that's another thing where like
Yep.
I don't think we'll ever be able to prove it.
Maybe someday.
But yeah. So you look at like the pyramids or these anything like that not I was gonna say mountains, not mountains. Mountains they form
Structures from the
structures
past.
that are not natural. Do you think that people back then had the mind, resources, and ability to build that kind of stuff, or do you really think that the aliens either built them or placed them here or teleported them here or used them as portals or even graves. I want to know like what you think about those structures that are around.
So until the early 1900s, the pyramid was the tallest structure on Earth for thousands of years, right? And that's pretty insane. Um, and the thing about like pyramids when they were built 5,000 years ago, maybe that's kind of like the thought. Um, you found pyramids in Egypt, and you found like pyramids, different kind of pyramids, in many different parts of the world, and their alignments are pretty pretty much the same, the way they're aligned to the stars and the sun. So if someone in Egypt built a pyramid and someone in South America built a pyramid, those people supposedly never met each other, right? They never have the ability to talk. But yet they built the same thing and they built them the same kind of in the same formation. To me, that's a little freaky. And did someone else have a hand in that? I probably. Um, did they build them? I don't know. A lot of these things that were built in the past thousands of years ago, even not even pyramids and other structures that are out there. There's these Stonehenges and all these other things. Some of these giant, like, I mean, these stones are like gigantic, and in the areas that they're built in, there's no stones like that in the area. They had to be carted from like 500 miles away. How did they do that? How did they move that material around? They didn't have trucks back then. They didn't have the means to. We'd have a hard time moving that shit around now, right? So thousands of years ago, they moved that stuff around easily. That to me needs some more explaining, because I don't feel like, unless they had such technology back then that we didn't know about, and then we went backwards and forward again. I don't know, but I do think there was something going on back then. And you look at a lot of the cave drawings and stuff, even in the United States, out in the West, in the desert, there's a lot of cave drawings, and some of the beings they've drawn, they're textbook aliens, like what you see like on TV or in books. What made them draw these things? They only drew what they saw, right? They drew animals, they drew all this other shit, and then there's these weird things that they drew. It's like, why did you draw that? Why did they draw these things? So to me, they drew something that they saw.
So, do you think that if this were the case, how do you explain dinosaurs? Were they, because dinosaurs were before humans. So, do you think that the dinosaurs were here and then the aliens came? Do you think the aliens could have wiped them out?
You know,
And
possible.
then the aliens were here and then the aliens evolved, or I guess devolved themselves into like there's just like
It's another weird one, right? Where it's like the dinosaurs were here 65 million years ago, and then this everything that you're taught is a big asteroid came and hit the planet and wiped out all the dinosaurs, and then so many million years later, here we are. Um, could that have what you just said, as far as like aliens wiping out the planet so that they could seed the planet with us? That's totally possible. Um, did they wait until there was an evolution of, like, apes and monkeys and stuff, and then did they insert some DNA into those animals to have them evolve really fast into us? That's possible too. There's so many different things that could have happened. Like, that goes against like a lot of religious stuff, but there are a lot of theories out there like that.
yeah. Um, do you think that if aliens are real and they come to us soon or whenever, do you think that even they'll have an answer for religion? Do you think that they'll know if there's a God?
Um, I I I don't know. You know do do I so do they think do I think they know how they were created? Type question, right? Like, that's kind of the question.
Right, or do you think that they could, do you think they know what happens after? Do you think they know what happens before? Do you think they know where we go after? Do you think they know
I don't know.
if there is another being higher than
Do
all of us?
I know? Do we want to know? Like, do we want them to tell us if they know? Do we want them to know? Like, that's what I ask myself
I mean, I
sometimes.
think that, and this is maybe religion, maybe opinionated, but I think that no matter how intelligent the aliens are, I think that there is, whether it's a god or a Buddha or whatever you believe, I believe that the higher being that there is, which I believe there is one, has that over everything. Meaning that if
Probably.
there's aliens that know how to teleport, I still think that the God above us has not made himself known to them too.
I got into this conversation about because it was about aliens, and the comment back was, well, if you believe in aliens, then you don't believe in what's in the Bible, and I counter that with the Bible was only written as it pertains to humans, God's relationship with humans, and what God did on Earth. That's what the Bible is. It doesn't talk about anything else. It talks about the creation of Earth and what God did here, and who God talked to, and the rules and everything for Earth. So that God could be responsible for everything else in the universe, and I believe that, yeah, there's got to be a higher power that created everything. Do the aliens know what that is or who that is? I don't know. Um, will they tell us something that it's like unbelievable? Maybe. Just their very presence alone is going to freak the hell out of everyone out if that happens. And I think that's part of the reason why we don't know yet about them for sure.
Okay, so we've talked about aliens in the sky and in space and here on Earth, but I don't think people talk about the ocean enough. There is so much unexplored shit down there. I just don't think that if you're gonna make the argument for aliens being in space, you got to be able to make the argument for them in the ocean because there's so much stuff down there. They could have a whole civilization down there of creatures. I mean, fish are already close enough to aliens, some of them. So, like, do you think that even if they crashed here on Earth or they are living here on Earth, do you think that they use the ocean as
Yep.
as shelter or whatever, hiding place?
Yeah. So I'll start with over 70% of the Earth is ocean. So we live on the minority piece of the Earth, which is the land, right? So and we don't know what's down there. To your point, there have been fish species that they said were extinct for millions of years that they sent probes down deep that couldn't go down there before, and all of a sudden they find these fish swimming around down at the bottom of the ocean that they thought were extinct for years. So that's just one of those things where I'm like, see, we think we know shit, but we really don't, right? Um, so one of the things that kind of proves this out a little bit is one of the if you've seen the videos on TV over the past few years of the military guys in their jets, and they have the UFOs on radar, right? Have you seen those? They talk about the tic tac shaped UFOs, right?
Yeah.
They're on the radars. There's something flying around. Um, one of the pilots, he was on several shows. His name is David Fravor. I've listened to him a few times. He said that one of the crafts was flying above the water, and there was something under the water. They could see it under the water, kind of communicating with the thing above the water, and the water was moving and bubbling up and everything. So there was something under the water, and then that thing took off, and the thing in the water went back down. So um, if they're here, and I'm pretty sure that they are, they're definitely using our oceans. It's the biggest part of our planet, and it's like the most easiest place for them to go hide. So absolutely, there's probably shit down there that, like, we have no idea what it is. We don't, but does our government know? Maybe, probably. We have submarines and everything down there, so um, I definitely think that they're using our oceans for sure. What's down there? Is there bases down there? Maybe, like, there's thousands and thousands of feet below the surface of the water that we probably haven't even come close to exploring.
I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Megalodon, but at a certain point in the ocean, there's like this fog, this thick layer, and when they go below it, that's kind of where the Megalodon is. But do you think like these alien creatures kind of created that, maybe separated off?
Is this like you're talking about the movie The Meg?
Yeah.
Well, is this just like in the movie, or do you think or is it like real? They just
Well, that's
based it
what I'm
off of.
trying to ask. Do you think that's like a real thing that aliens could have created, or do you think it's like they're just something's
It,
there?
it's possible, but think about this: like if you once you get down far enough in the water, it gets dark
Yeah.
fast, right? And there's places down below where way down deep where it's like dark all the time, and they found like weird fish and stuff down there. They look like aliens that glow, that change colors and light up. Like so, there's tons of space down there where it's pitch black. You can't see shit, right? It's like you go down. If you were to go down there, you wouldn't see anything. So could there be stuff down there? Oh yeah, I think they would totally take advantage of that.
I mean, like, I think if I had to choose, I would definitely explore the ocean before space. Um, there's probably so much. Who knows? Maybe in reality, we've only explored 1% of the ocean because maybe there's more of the ocean that they can't detect. That's like underneath stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if they know the deep. Like maybe they do know the deepest part. They like
They
they
could, but they could think they know the
yeah,
deepest
they could
part.
think they know, and they could do topography based on sonar and stuff, but they don't know what's down there in every, not even close to what's down there in every area under the ocean. And if I were an alien, I would totally take advantage of that.
No, yeah, definitely. That's another tough one because most of the time people talk about aliens, they're always
Yep.
outer space, but that's definitely something to explore because what if they've been living here in the ocean longer than us and
Yeah.
they haven't even left? What if they just have a whole society down there?
Yeah.
Maybe they could be less advanced than us. They could just know how to manipulate water, I guess, or breathe in the water or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. They might not know what we know. We don't know what they know. So they could definitely just be doing stuff that is completely maybe what we consider like dumb or ignorant, just down there deep below where we normally are.
Yeah, so it's possible, and you think about like the universe and our knowledge of the universe. We don't even know, we don't even have full knowledge of our own planet, and we're expected to understand what's going on up in space.
Right? I mean, up until I don't know, however long ago, we thought that the Earth was the center of
Right, the center of
our
the solar system.
right. What if in 50 years from now we find out something that we've been thinking this whole time that was a lie? Who knows what we could find out?
You will, that
Right.
will happen.
There's stuff like that happening all the time. It's just a matter of how major it is.
Right, right.
Um, are you, do you have anything more to say about the ocean?
Not about the ocean, though,
All
unless
right,
you have
because
another question
oh
about
no, it's not a question about that. It's two words. I just Bob Lazar.
it. Bob Lazar, right? So, do you know about Bob Lazar?
Yeah, I mean I do.
So, Bob Lazar was this guy. He's alive. He's still around.
Probably the most famous like alien theorist, right?
So Bob Lazar is he's a smart guy. He supposedly worked at Area 51 back, I think back in the 80s, and he claims to have seen UFOs, and that we were trying to reverse engineer them. Um, so Bob Lazar got a job there based on his just being smart and scientific, and um, he had degrees that all of his, like when he stopped working there, everything that he's all his credentials were gone. Like they made him look like he was an idiot. So what happened with him was he was working. He was married and he was working. This is his story. He was working there, and he said everyone that worked there had a job. So if you guys worked there, you would have a job, and say you were the guy working on the left panel of the UFO, analyzing it. That's all you did. You didn't talk to anybody else. You did your job. So his job was to work on. He said there were three levels of the UFO, and there were different models of the UFOs. The one he was working on, I think the middle level. He said he never got to. He never worked. He saw it, but he never got to go up top or on the bottom. said on the bottom is where the gravity, he called it a gravity amplifier. That's where this gravity amplifier was that made them the ability to travel the way they do. Um, and back then, when he told this story back in the 80s, he's told it again recently, same exact story. When he told it in the 80s, he referred to an element 115. It is. I forgot what it's called. 115. You can look it up. Unpenthium or something like that. So element 115, which didn't exist back then. And he said that they created this element which fed the gravity amplifiers on the thing. Right? Now, element 115 exists.
Moscovium?
At 115?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
You talking about in the periodic table?
I thought it was unpenthium or something.
Hold on. I'll keep looking. Keep going.
So, this element didn't exist when he originally told the story, but now it exists, right? Which that kind of validates the story a little bit. So the reason why all this happened was because he was working there. His wife didn't really know what he did. He couldn't really tell her. But while he was working there, the government had his house bugged so they could hear everything that was going on. Casey told her, right? But what happened was his wife was having an affair, and they heard her talking on the phone to her lover or whatever, and that became a risk for them, right? This is an unstable relationship. You don't know what's going to happen. So they told Bob Lazar that his wife was having an affair, and that's a problem. And with that, they didn't fire him, but he thought it was coming. He knew when they were test flying their back engineered vehicles that they were building there, and he brought all his friends up on a hill one night when they were doing the test flight, and him and all his friends saw the test flight, but they caught him. They caught all of them, and they fired him. They took all his credentials away, and that's part of his story. And they tried to like bury like his existence and the things that he did, but people were able to validate that he did work at certain places that they took him off the rosters for. He's told that story for many years, and a lot of the things he said about how the propulsion of these things worked, like how these things moved in those videos, in those radar things that the jets recently caught, they're moving exactly how he said they moved 40 years ago when he originally told the story. So his story over time is being validated by things that we're finding out now. So I believe that he's totally credible in things that he's saying, that we do have craft and they are trying to back engineer them. Why would they tell the public that they're trying to back engineer UFOs and leak it to other countries, right? We always want to win, right? We always want to be ahead of everyone else. So why would we broadcast that information, right? Until we mastered it, we're not going to say a word. Stealth fighters were not known. They were already flying around for 20 years before we knew they existed. That's an example of that.
Yeah, so element 115, it's called Moscovium. It's just another name for ununpentium or whatever.
Yes.
It's said that element 115 is an extremely rare element that's made one atom at a time in particle accelerators. It exists for just a fraction of a second before it decays into another element. So he
didn't exist when he originally told the story.
It says 2003.
Right.
It was invented by U.S. and Russian.
Right. How did they invent it?
I'm not completely sure. Let me see. It wasn't added to the periodic table until 2016.
I'll tell you how they invented it. They back engineered it and invented it.
So he's saying that the aliens used it
to power their spacecraft,
and they like pulled it out of the alien technology.
Yeah.
And it was
back when he told this story, there was no element 115, and he talked about that element, which exists now.
This is like, is this like the most known about story? Is his story the most like talked about in the
kind of? I mean,
world,
he when someone tells a story, and they stick to that story, and the story is the story for forever, it's a believable story, right? Because if you could tell the same story for 40 or 50 years and not have it waver, you kind of feel like that person lived that story, and he's gained nothing from it. He's gained no money. He's gained. I mean, not. I mean, he of course he's famous, but not in a good way, right? Like the government has been after him for years. Like he doesn't want anything. He doesn't want anything from it. He doesn't want. He doesn't. He hasn't gained any money off of this. So when he first told his story, that he actually was disguised. The guy that interviewed him like covered his, they covered his identity and they called him Tom, or I forgot what they called him. They called him something else, and then his identity got known somehow. And that's the only reason why he came out as himself, is because someone uncovered his identity. He was never going to tell anybody who he was. He had nothing to gain out of this.
So at this point, we've been going for a while on the alien stuff, and I think that with you especially, we could talk about this. We could upload a 10-hour podcast. We do want to bring you back for probably a part 2, and I think we'll have anybody listening send in questions. If you guys do want to send in questions, our email is
actually in the community chats. I put it there a couple days ago.
Yeah. Again, another plug. Everything that you need to find us on, it's all in our bio. Our email is campfiresessions1520@gmail. Email us for any questions you have. If you want to be featured on our podcast, you are going to need to send in a pretty lengthy audition. This process is
torture.
It's tough. Yeah, you had to jump through hoops to
Yep.
get on here.
Yeah.
No. But if you want to be on the podcast, do let us know. Let us know what you would like to talk about. But yeah, I do want to lighten the topic a little bit, because that could freak people out. That could get deep. That could get into religion. That could get people rethinking their
I think we freaked
life
Cody
choices.
out.
Cody, you were a little quiet for that topic.
I see you got googly eyed a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I do want to. This is your first time on the podcast. This is still our second episode. I want to talk to you about last week's episode, because.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that.
You enjoyed it. It's a very opinionated conversation. So I do want to start with this. This won't be too long. We won't keep you for so long.
Sure.
What is your opinion on your favorite leftover?
Oh God, my favorite leftover. I'm not a big leftover guy, but I don't know. Like some things taste better, like leftover. Like a good sauce is better. Like the second time you have it, sometimes. Like sometimes like a soup, or like a pasta bazool. I don't know if you know what that is. That's always better the second time for me, leftover. Even like a mac and cheese sometimes is better. Like a homemade mac and cheese is better.
It's just tough. Time. It has to be made right, because it could brick up.
Yeah.
No.
100%. But some things,
nothing sexual
like
there. But
you guys were like talking about some stuff last week that are like nachos left over. I'm like, there's no way.
Can I ask you about this? He's an idiot, right?
I mean,
when you get nachos,
soggy nachos. There's no saving them, Cody.
Well,
there's no salvaging the soggy nacho.
You even said last podcast that sometimes soggy nachos will like hit the spot. Like soggy with cheese, not like because it's like I don't know why it would
Can't
be,
do
but
it.
Yeah,
if
they
it's
get
wet.
not soggy. I said soft, meaning that if they got so hot from the cheese or so hot.
Well,
from
that's what I
something,
mean.
they get
Not
soft.
soggy.
Like if I eat nachos right now, and then tomorrow morning I open those nachos, I'm not eating it. No way, man. That's going right in the trash.
Well, I just think that's a waste of food.
It's gonna be a big pile. You're gonna have to eat it with a fork. It's gonna be a big pile of.
Next time I get nachos and there's leftovers, I'm
I'm
calling you.
You know what? We can go to Taco Bell. We can experiment with this. Eat half of them on the podcast.
Like loaded nachos, like when they load them up with meat and
cheese,
guacamole,
sour cream.
Two-day podcast. We could film it one night and then
we could do a whole episode on these nachos, because I'm interested in this topic.
I think you should do it.
Now you said sauce, where I said last episode. I think. Well, if it's, are you saying like just sauce, reheat?
Well, like sauce on fresh pasta. I wouldn't reheat the pasta sometimes because
Right,
it
right,
Yeah.
gets
right, right.
Okay.
it's the pasta gets like soggy.
Yeah.
I like pasta al dente, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like
Okay.
pasta left over all the time.
Because I was gonna say we don't. If it's like buttered pasta, we definitely like save that, put it in the fridge. You
Yeah,
could easily reheat that. But if it's sauced already, I think that's just like
it gets a weird sogginess, but the
yeah,
sauce that's why I like keep sauce separate, so I can reuse the sauce on new pasta, but it's still technically leftover sauce after it's made fresh,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then just like I guess you have to like the taste of it too. You got to get over the grossness of it first of all.
Of what?
Of
The,
Nachos?
the leftover nachos, it's just
oh.
sour cream, nacho
Well,
cheese,
Silly.
beef.
I don't have sour cream on mine.
So I'm thinking like when you go somewhere and you order like loaded nachos with the meat on them and all the
They put everything on it.
meat and sour cream, salsa, guacamole, cheese. It's kind of soggy when you get it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I mean though. If it's soft, like the chips are softer, sometimes it doesn't get soggy when it's in the fridge and you can eat it like that. It'll stay soft.
Well, like I said, you're my leftover nacho guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Um,
so.
You're weird.
Okay.
Cereal. Favorite cereal. Would you ever eat cereal warmed?
Well, oatmeal is a cereal technically warmed, but would I warm up like
But you're not putting the oats in the milk, and then like you're
I
not.
warm up like Cheerios?
Would you just hypothetically you put the milk first this
Yeah,
time, right? You
yeah.
pour the milk into a bowl and you throw it in the microwave for 2 minutes.
No, hell no.
That's some hot milk, man.
That's disgusting.
I got some backlash last week from won't disclose his name, Dennis. But anyways, he was saying that he warms his milk to put the cereal in, like with like Frosted Flakes or something. I'm just not sure. Like cereal is a breakfast food. Why are you warming it up? That's gross.
Is that serious? Does he really do that?
I mean, that's what he was saying. I mean, I hope he's listening to this one because he listened last week. But
Well, I mean,
we could bring
there's a
him
lot
out
of
one day.
weird people out there that do weird shit. So, and I know who you're talking about. So it's kind of fitting.
No,
Love you, Dennis.
It could be a culture thing. It could be the way you were raised. But I'll be the first person to say if you warm your milk to eat your cereal, you are a weirdo.
Yeah,
But to get to the
definitely-
main topic of like, would I pour a bowl of Cheerios and milk and then put it in the refrigerator and eat it the next day? No,
No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
hell no.
Like why?
No.
All right, so I asked you best. What's worse? Worst leftover. You can pick something that you want to feed your worst enemy as a leftover, and you give it to them. What would it be? What is the absolute? Like, it's something that's hard to eat.
Like I don't. Geez, I don't know. Like I'm not a big. It's not that it's a bad leftover, but I don't like pizza leftover.
You don't?
No, I like pizza. Like
Wow.
when I go to like a good, I'm a pizza snob, right? When I go to a good pizza place, it's tough to have like a Sally's or a Pepe's or a Modern the next day. I like to eat it fresh. So not that I hate it, but it's tough for me to do. Like if I don't eat it that day or night, I'm usually not eating it the next day.
Well, I think we both said last time that if you reheat pizza, sometimes it's better than freshly made.
Or even cold pizza. I mean, it depends on the place. You're talking like
Yeah.
top pizza places in the world, but we are lucky enough to have those
Yes, we are.
20 minutes away from us. But sometimes cold pizza or reheated pizza, it really just tastes better. I don't know if it's that next day feeling after you devour 10 slices and you're about to throw up, but
Yeah, I'm not saying I haven't done it, but it's not something I generally like to do. Like, how about how about if you make a salad and you put all the dressing on it and everything, and would you want to eat that the next
No.
day?
we were
That's
saying
gross.
salad is a no.
I think that'd be
Yeah,
all
no.
But doesn't
slimy.
isn't that the
No.
same as nachos?
No.
You load everything up and then
Well,
No.
salad gets like almost like slimy, so salad's worse, I think.
I mean probably
like a made salad with dressing on
see
it.
here's the thing. The nachos they're not gonna taste bad. they're just gonna be weird.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna taste good no matter what because you're loading them up with good food items.
Yeah.
Salad's gonna taste like slime.
It's gonna be gross. You're gonna be like, everything in there is either dairy or meat. Letting it sit and then reheating it is a big risk, and I'm a big texture guy with food.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I
was
don't
just
really
gonna
like
say that.
salad and stuff. I think that would. I don't know. I don't think that would work. But yeah, not getting into it too much because that was our topic last week,
Yeah.
and I don't want to run over too much here. But wanted to lighten up the conversation a little bit so everybody can sleep soundly. Guys, I don't think aliens are ever gonna. I don't think we'll ever know the truth about aliens. I really don't.
I do.
I don't think in our lifetime we will find out the truth.
We might.
I think what we do find out too, I don't think any of it will be too drastic because you hear anything at this point and it's just another day in the media, you know.
Well,
But
don't even get going on the media.
anything could be made up, anything could be lied, made a lie. But yeah, thank you for joining us this week. We definitely want you to be a regular, even if we're just talking one day. We have stuff to talk about. We want you to be here for your input.
Listen to us while you're working, you're gonna sleep, whenever. It's just something you can have in the background.
Yeah, if you just listen to this whole thing and you're here now and you didn't listen to last week, if you don't want to commit yourself again to another hour, go look at our TikTok and see if you're interested in what we talked about last week. We posted some clips from that. Follow us again on all socials. The link is in bio. You want to shout out any of your social media, or do you just
No,
not?
not really.
You're good.
You guys plug yours. This is where you want people to come and listen to you. I'd be glad to come on for anything you guys want to talk about. They definitely want to be on for lighter topics as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Definitely.
Yeah.
Guys, we do have merch. It's very early on, but any friends listening, any supporters, if you do want to buy merch, we have hats right now. That's about the only thing out. We are in the works of making more. The hats are out. We've been wearing the hats for the first time this entire episode. We will be dropping them to the public at 50 subscribers on YouTube. So that will be our drop. We will post them right now, or by the time you're listening to this, it will be posted on Instagram for all of you to see the design and what we've designed. Yeah, so get us to 50 subscribers on YouTube. Tell your friends. Merch will come out if you guys want to support us. But that's about it. Make sure you follow us. That's really the most important thing right now at the start.
And share with others.
Yeah, make sure you share. Even if you're telling them to just check us out on TikTok or Instagram or anything. Twitter, we're tweeting on Twitter. You can interact with us on Twitter. Email will be in bio. Link for everything will be in bio. If you have any ideas for questions or anything you want us to talk about on here, Twitter or email is definitely the best way to get to us. Thank you guys for listening. If you're still here, if you listen at all, we appreciate it. If you listen for 10 minutes, we appreciate any of it. Anything, any sort of listening helps. So thank you guys. That's pretty much it. We went for almost 2 hours here. So yeah, we're just gonna wing it and we're gonna say that's it for this episode. Thank you.
We'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.